about community immunity. I'm talking unity for you and me. If Doc says it's good, trust me, it's good. Now let's all get the vaccine.
Shot from the doc, she hit the spot. Then I felt a little tired and maybe a little hot. I was sore, my body and my head did ache. Woke up the next day and I was straight. Yeah, it might have felt a little rough, but one shot ain't enough. Gotta get the repeat in 3 to 4 weeks for the peace. It's nothing but the truth I speak. We in a peak. Vaccines can't prevent a defeat. Immunity instead of eulogy, duty for the community. Getting it expeditiously, forget the conspiracy theories. Gotta get the blood ready to fight with some antibodies set to kill the virus on sight. It don't matter which type, the M or the P, cause they both are set to protect us equally. Roll up your sleeve cause the vaccine is key. Cause it ain't about me, it's about we.
All right. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to another session of NSLB Live, and we have a great evening planned for you tonight. We are excited. Tonight, we will be going to have a conversation, in-depth conversation about what do you see? What do you see about you? What is it about you? What makes up who you are? And it's the power of self-perception. And tonight we have our guests with us, and I'm excited about that. We have our guest panelists.
Yes.
Our guest panelists is Deborah Bradford, Janita Clemens, Terica Woolfolk, and Janelle Burton. We welcome them here tonight. So we're going to start with Deborah, and if you can tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Deborah Bradford. I wasn't born in Bakersfield, but I was raised in Bakersfield. I am a mother. I am a grandmother. I work as a nurse for the state of California.
Yeah. All right, Miss Janita.
Hello, my name is Janita Clemens. I'm a retired from the Department of Corrections. I'm a substitute teacher and I coach, which is my real job. I coach volleyball. I have for several years. I'm a mother, grandmother. Happy to be here.
Thank you, Janita. All right, Terica.
Hi, I'm Terica Woolfolk, born and raised in Bakersfield, California. I'm here in Long Beach and I work as a probation officer working with young ladies that are victims of sex trafficking. And I'm transitioning into becoming a therapist. I'm a pre-licensed therapist.
Good for you, Terica. All right, Ms. Janelle.
Hello, everyone. I am Janelle Burton. I am an administrator for the Kern High School District. At one of the toughest schools in the Kern High School District, and I love my kids.
Thank you, Janelle. I'm glad each of you ladies are here. We are excited to have you here. And we're going to talk about what do you see? Self-perception. So I'm just going to give you a definition about self-perception before we get started. Self-perception is an image we hold about ourselves and our traits and the judgments we make about those traits. Self-perception includes 2 core perceptual processes: our self-concept, or the picture we have in our head of who we are, and our self-esteem, or how we judge and evaluate those traits. Okay. So I'm not going to play the videos right now. We have a couple of videos for you. So we're going to go right into the questioning first before we get started. Our first question is about family history. What we decided tonight is to talk about 5 topics, and that's our family history, culture, racism, social media, and internal race issues that we have in our society. And those are the things that we pretty much have that influence who we are and how we accept those things for positive or for negative. So tonight we're going to start off with the family history. And so the question for family history is, how does family influence self-perception? And we're going to start with you, Deborah. Okay. We can't hear you, Deborah.
I'm sorry. I said family influence perceptions in many ways. When I think about parents, I think about not only our mother and fathers, our sisters and brothers, and even you can have uncles and aunts that can influence you in some kind of shape or form. But when I think about self-perception, I think about yourself, your self-image, your self-esteem, your self-confidence, your character. And when I grew up, my mother always pushed us to be somebody. She used to tell us that the sky was the limit and that you can do all things through Christ, which strengthens you, so that there is room for you somewhere. But in that perception, I think the strength comes from our family in a way that it could be positive and it could be negative. The positive part is, like I said, they're shaping you and explaining what you can be as you grow up. But it's the feedback, and that feedback is very significant, and it includes positive and negative versions. So I feel like the family can be positive and it can be negative. Depends on what type of family you have.
Right. Yeah, good. Thank you, Deborah. Janita?
Self-perception when it comes to family, like in my family, I was like the first girl in the generation. It was tons of boys before me with boys and cousins. And so pretty much like a couple of things that occurred is that the women in my family were really involved in raising me, all of them, all of my aunts, all of my older cousins. They all were really involved in trying to make sure that I was going to be this capable person. And the men in my family were also very protective of me. But I do remember how one little thing could really like mess you up, like a brother saying something, ugly sister, a normal thing that kids do. Right. But I remember feeling like for a long time that I wasn't attractive because of some of the things that one of my brothers would say to me. Wow. And I just remember how even with my father telling me, I'm the queen of the world, my father literally had a wall in his house with every historical African queen with me in the middle. He literally had a wall decorated like that. But it could just take one word from someone you love that could really change the way you feel about yourself.
No, that's good. Thanks, Janetta. All right, Miss Terica.
So I agree with, just to piggyback on what Deborah stated, that, the family in and of itself can make or break you. And it's your first teacher, the home is. And so it can be positive or negative. You can be built up, and we grew up to be strong ladies, 4 girls, of course, and so it was more strength based. Or parents can also impose self-doubt into a child and say you're not going to make anything of yourself, and put those thoughts into your mind. And so imposing that self-doubt, and that could be just generational. But that can make or break you, and that's before you even get out into the world. So your family holds a strong influence on how you're going to react to the ways of society and of the world.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Terica. Thank you so much. Miss Janelle.
So mine is kind of similar to what Terica was saying. Our families are our first teachers, and they're who we kind of identify ourselves as. And so what they have said to us, taught to us, everything they said to us is basically the truth. It's like Bible. And I was thinking about with self-perception, you've heard of families, that's the family that loves to fight, or that's so it's kind of identity that carries with you, and you kind of feel like sometimes you have to uphold that identity, or that it becomes a self-perception because that's who I was a Turner, that's who the Turners are. So it's kind of something that it carries with you. You feel like you have to uphold whatever that identity is, or that perception is, because it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy about who you are. So it's kind of learned, so it's unconscious, or maybe it is conscious. And then sometimes you have to, once you learn yourself and learn who you are, you maybe change that, maybe generational curse, or become something different.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Thank you, Janelle. Great answer. I just have a little thing here about the family. It says our family are the ones who give us feedback on who we are. This feedback can be evaluated positively or negatively. and lead to positive or negative patterns and influence our self perception, the perception of ourselves. It's so true. When you think of family, that they are. And, you know, sometimes if I'm in the store and I see a mother cuss a child out, I'm like, gee, it's tearing him down, you know. And so I think it's something that I don't know where we lost it at, you know, as far as bringing in the children. I mean, there's different components that cause that to happen. But when I see those things like that, just tearing down the character of the child, it's almost like they don't have a chance, you know. But family is very important on the self-perception side. The second question we have: how does our family history or stories we hear about our family affect our self-perception? I think Janelle kind of hit on it about you're the Turner, you know, you have a certain you know, prestige to keep with the Turner name. Or, you know, we used to have a family here in town that everybody was scared of because they fought. Everybody was scared of. When you see them, you just like, hi, you don't want to get too deep with them. But so there's a reputation they had to keep up from generation to generation, because they were known to be the baddest. And, you know, listen, you didn't mess with them. That's all I got to say. And so that self-perception of, you know, of your family is so true. So this is the question. I'll say it again. How does our family history or stories we hear about our family affect our self-perception? I'm going to start with Janetta this time.
Hi. Our family history. I mean, it when you I mean, can I come back to me? Because I kind of was I was thinking one thing, but when you start talking about the perceptions of the family, kind of changed what I was thinking. Can you come back to me, please?
Sure, I'll come back to you. I'll go to Terica. You know I was coming to you.
Well, it's basically the same thing that Janelle stated. You have, you know, it could be a reputation that you have to uphold. And I mean, I don't have any negative stories that I feel like affected my perception. When I saw the question, or when I hear that question, I think about, you know, I go back and listen to, I mean, and can hear my grandfather talk about just his time in Arkansas. So it didn't affect me negatively, but it did build resilience, and I could see the resilience within the family. But it draws attention to you as being African-American, not feeling less than, but you know that there's a difference in how we are treated just by hearing the stories of old and how they were treated in Arkansas. So that does affect you, and it affects how you see yourself in some way.
Good. All right. Deborah?
Well, I do have something a little negative to say. It's the truth. My grandmother used to say all the time, be careful of the dark-skinned Black folks, because they don't tell the truth. And I found out that that was not true. Maybe she had some problems in her past history where she had some problems with some dark-skinned people, but that was just with those people. So my perception changed. When I was little, I used to look at the dark people and think, ooh, they don't tell the truth. But I found out as I got older that wasn't true. And also, how does the family history or stories say things? Some things are true. My uncles used to tell me all the time, because they didn't do it on some of the things. They said, surround yourself with good friends. And they often got in trouble, but we did surround ourselves around good friends, because they have proven to be good people, and you don't get in trouble. They would tell us all the time, good friends that go to church, go to school, play sports, polite, those kind of things, because I think they found themselves not doing those things, and they saw themselves getting in trouble. So does our family history, our stories here that we hear, does it affect our perception? It can affect our perception. But as we grow older, we learn from life itself that everything you hear is not true.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right, Miss Janelle.
I answered it somewhat in the first question.
Yeah.
I was thinking how some things are hereditary, maybe some diseases or mental health issues could be. But I'm just thinking about some things, that's just the way they always are. So you hear that in families now, like the parent may have a short temper, or maybe they always, I don't know, do this or that. They lie and steal. So you either try to be better and try to break that, or you think that you're just stuck and you can't change. So sometimes that just weighs heavy on your mindset, thinking that you can't change, which your family's a huge influence on that. So you kind of have to be mindful of who you are and whose you are in order not to fall back on that negative mindset or that negative family perception.
That's good. Thank you, Janelle. Johnetta?
You know, what's interesting is that I don't recall like hearing a lot of stories about my family growing up, and when you don't, it kind of makes it difficult for you to see how you fit in society. Several years ago, we started to celebrate Kwanzaa, and I started to learn more about my family and share with my kids and grandkids. And I can see the difference in the way that they have a more well-rounded view of where they fit in after knowing so many things about their ancestors. I didn't really have that experience personally growing up.
Okay. Good. Linda and myself had it. We were born in Omaha, Nebraska, and our family back there they were drinkers. They liked to drink all the time, and we loved them very much. I have nothing but good stories, but on the flip side of that, they were alcoholics, and we were just glad our mom actually decided. Later on, we were glad. We were sad when we left them because they were a good family. They're just a happy, joyous family. But the downside of them that they were alcoholics. So could that have had an effect on our lives if we would have stayed there? Of course it would have, because our cousins are now kind of like that. So, but we're glad that we got out of it, but we still love them. Can I say that? Can I say we still, communicate with them as well? So I think when you look back on your history, that you can say that things have happened to not cause you to end up in certain situations. And then you find yourself only trying to be the best cousin you can to those that are still stuck there and that past of drinking and things like that. So I think that when you talk about it, doesn't mean that me coming out to California, I wouldn't have been an alcoholic. It really doesn't mean that, because I could be an alcoholic here just as much as I could have been there. But I just think that when I look back on those stories, really all I have is good times. I think that was the only downfall, is that we grew older and we realized that if we had maybe stayed there, we'd have probably been that way too. But I love my family, and if y'all listening, y'all know that. But but I just think that family history has a lot to do with how you're going to be. If our mom hadn't taken us out of that arena, we just don't know where we would be. So I'm grateful that you guys shared what you have about your family. We don't always hear positive things, but we do see things in our family that sometimes we're able to change ourselves. So our next question, we're going to leave family history unless anybody else has anything to say. If not, we're going to go on to racism and how it affects our self-perception. When was the first time you realized people of color were treated differently? And we're going to start with Terica.
I would say elementary school. That's when I feel like I remember. So maybe second or third grade, I believe. And I think it had a great deal to do with we started off in one school and we were bussed out. I think it was I was in the third. Yeah, I was going into the third grade and I was bussed out to a school in another neighborhood where I was the minority. And so that's when I feel like I started feeling racism is at that time, around third grade.
Okay. All right, good. All right, Janelle.
I was trying to think of anything in particular. I didn't, and then it just hit me when Terica said being bussed out in elementary school. When something happened to me in elementary school, it was they turned it into an extortion with a Black male student. And we were kind of the minority at our school. And that just made me think, that's how I knew we were treated differently. It's almost he was going to be charged with a crime over a quarter. And that's how I really think I realized it. But as an adult, I think once I got into the workplace, that's when I really realized we were treated differently. That's when you really see it and your eyes are really open, exposed to we're treated differently in the workspace.
Okay, ladies, well, I'm going to stop right there before I ask Janetta and Deborah. So, Terica, how did you feel about that? How did that kind of connect with your self-perception of who you were? And the same question to you, Janelle, when she finishes.
I think it was, so I'm just replaying back, and I was a Girl Scout, and I just remember feeling different. So even if there weren't negative things being said, even though there were some negative things being said, that was really the first time I would hear like the N word. I didn't hear that at McKinley. I heard that at Harris. So it was like, that's the first time I had heard that in a derogatory manner. And I just remember being in the pool, and, I was often the only Black girl there, the only Black there. And so, everyone's hair is straight. That's when I first started seeing like everybody's hair is straight. They can get in the pool. They can wear their hair down. Their hair doesn't poof up. And so it was during that time that I felt different. Well, it is the truth. It was during that time that I felt different. That was like like I said, third grade is when I can feel it. I could actually feel the pressure of racism and just feeling, I won't even just say racism, feeling different and not feeling like I was equal.
Okay. Janelle?
Even now, just thinking about it being treated differently in a workplace, it's the kind of microaggressions, and you kind of have to be careful of yourself, of how you speak, who you're hanging out with, how you dress. And you ladies are aware of this. We feel like we have to do a little bit extra or do more than others because we know everyone is always looking at us. So we have to work harder because of who we are and of our skin color. And what's funny is people do see us, they don't realize that we have that struggle or that extra burden on us. And we don't really see it as a burden because that's how we've lived all of our life. It's just something that we do. But I just thinking some of it comes from our own people. Like the first time I was called a name or whatever, it was from my own people. And it's our own people sometimes that say these things or have negative things to say about us or treat us differently.
Mm-hmm. Good. Thank you, Janelle. Janita?
Interesting. I think I felt that because I was a girl, I was treated different. I remember, I recall like understanding that as early as I can remember, and all through school, through my work history, it was because I was a female. As far as when it came specifically to race, I felt like, I don't know if it's because like Janelle said that we just were so used to it that we kind of were, it's what we did. But when I first recall being, really feeling pain and seeing the difference was when I had children and saw what was going on with my children and how they were being treated differently. That's when it really stuck out to me because I don't think I was prepared for that. I think I really expected them to have a charmed life. I didn't expect them to be treated that way.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Thank you, Janita. Deborah.
I'm going to say this like Janetta. I think I felt a little different when I was younger because I was a girl, only because I loved basketball. And you remember, we only got a chance to play a short period of time in GAA. And then right after we graduated, then the girls got really into sports. I guess I'm dating myself, but I didn't like that at all. I felt real different. But as far as racism, when I was in high school, that's when I really felt it. And that was when my counselor told me that if I took algebra, that I wouldn't pass the class and I wouldn't graduate. Wow. And it scared me. But yet I felt like I can do it. So before I can really answer him, because my mother worked a couple of jobs, so she didn't have the availability to come up and do and speak up for me. And so before I knew it, he had put me in some other kind of class. And I felt a little something about that. I'm gonna tell you, I didn't feel like I couldn't do it. I was mad because I had to go to the other class. And I knew deep down inside that I could do it. If I put my all in it, that I could do it. My attitude was, if I had to find somebody to help me, I'm gonna get through this class.
Yeah.
But I didn't get that chance. I wish I could call his name, but I'm not. But anyway, he told me, I probably will never forget him. He told me that, oh no, you won't graduate. And so I'm going to put you in this class. So that's when I really, really felt it, because I felt like there was nothing I could do about it.
Yeah.
And I also have felt it when I've been shopping. I go shopping and I still feel it sometimes. If I'm not dressed the way they think I should be dressed, they think I don't have no money. And they will watch me while I'm walking through the shop, and I'm waiting on somebody to say, may I help you? And nobody is saying anything. So I take my money and myself and I go somewhere else. And then there's been times when on my job, and I've had several jobs, and I'm not going to name the job, but I remember as a new nurse, the 10-hour shifts and the 12-hour shifts started. And next thing I knew, there was a schedule up and people were working it. And so I asked, well, how come I didn't get offered to work the 10-hour shift or the 12-hour shift? And I was told, because we had a meeting and you weren't there. But I wasn't invited to the meeting either. So in other words, I had to work the 8, but the others who were not the color of myself went to the meeting and they were able to work it. And I wasn't happy about that at all.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. Before we go a little bit further, I want to play a video that I shared with the panel, and we're going to share with our audience tonight. So hold on. I'm going to do a share and we're going to look at it.
As a Black woman who was a Black girl, I see the attack on us comes in a very different form. In some ways, it comes in the same form. You know, people do experience racial profiling and police brutality, but sometimes you come across women who have not had that direct interaction. But we're attacked in so many nuanced ways.
So you have internal race issues within our own culture, and then the external race issue, and then your mothering issue around race. So for me, race and being a woman of color is so multi-layered. It's like you can excavate all day.
2 uniformed security guards walked over to us, one white, one Latino, and began to ask us questions about what we were doing in the lobby of that hotel, if we were guests. Quickly responded and said that I was in fact a guest. I was asked details, my name, what room. And it was at this point that I became very upset.
And then you start to wonder, well, what other difference could it be if you're a white cop, I'm a Black female? What other difference, what else could I have done to piss you off this much? It just starts to then look racial.
We actually had to bring in a white colleague from the Justice Conference before anyone could get an official response from the hotel.
I've had people focus on my hair not being professional enough. I had an executive director actually pull me into a room, and it went down a path of like, you know, just letting you know, like, I don't think that you're professional enough. And I kind of had to go through this whole, I had to actually pull back because I felt like I couldn't be emotional.
All the other chorus girls were white. And I remember going up to the person in charge of costuming and saying, you know, why is it that we're dressed this way? Why is our hair doing this weird, just lumped together thing, and all the other girls get to do curls and pretty things? And she was like, yeah, but your hair can't do that. And I was like, you never asked me.
But for me, it was really hard because I just wanted to dance and sing and be in the play. And I was being told, like, you're not good enough. Your hair isn't good enough. Your clothes aren't good enough. And we're going to make sure everybody notices that you're Black and everybody else isn't.
And that colored my own thinking about myself. And I was like, maybe I am unattractive. Maybe I am like this monster. But then I'd call my mom and she'd be like, don't listen to them. Obviously, I gave birth to you and I'm gorgeous. So obviously you have to be gorgeous. So I like always, like, whenever I always felt bad, I'd always think about that.
There was a huge population of Black girls who weren't dating anyone. And I wondered why that was, because in my eyes, they seemed to be beautiful and attractive and smart and intelligent and ambitious. And it just didn't make any sense to me why they didn't have a boyfriend too. And that same consciousness is also what I'm thinking now at almost 25 years old, like why that's the world that I still see today.
Once you accept your womanness, that's where your power comes from. It doesn't necessarily always come from your academic prowess. It doesn't always come from what you have. It comes from your perception of self. And when you accept that you're a woman and I'm a woman, hear me roar, that comes from a validation outside of yourself. And even if you want to say it doesn't, it does.
My father would buy me books. And before he would give me the books, he would painstakingly shade in the characters in the books in brown crayon. I still have some of these books. I mean, I had like Cinderella, she was brown, like all these things. And of course, as an older toddler, you notice that they've been drawn in because he's not an artist. And he would explain, you know, as much as he could to a 5 or 6 year old why he was shading in these characters to look like me.
I don't have a daughter right now, but if I did have a daughter, I would tell her that she's beautiful, that she's intelligent, that she's all of these things all the time, because I feel like we don't hear that enough in the media. We don't get that attention.
What I would tell my daughter is not what was ever told me, and not something that I really thought I would ever say. But ultimately, to my girls, I want you to be happy. I want you to find joy in however you define it. Not what I want out of you, not what society imagines of you, not anyone's fantasies of you. Your happiness and your joy, and I have your back.
Okay, we're back. That was an excellent video. I'm glad I found that one. So I want to ask you the last question after looking at that video. Did this realization that you've talked about, did it affect your perception of yourself? I'll start with, Deborah's, there's Deborah, add to the screen. Okay. All right, we'll start with you, Janetta.
I don't think so. I think my perception, I went straight from high school into the Marine Corps, and I think I was always more focused on my ability and what I was producing, and you know, I don't think that anyone's view of me like that about my race. It just never was that much of an issue for me. But as we spoke about, like, your family supporting you, you know, I was so many women in my life, strong images of Black women that were so vested in my future that I think nothing really changed the way I viewed myself. No, I don't feel that way.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Deborah?
It affected me, but it affected me in a positive way. So for those who thought I couldn't do it, I did it.
Okay.
You see what I mean? I just I took it whatever that negative was, and I made it positive. So no matter what people said, it didn't move me. I dug in, and I like I said, I had the will and the power to get done what I felt was best for me. One of the things that the lady said in there, she talked about womanness. And I felt like in order for me to be a woman, I have to be able to make decisions. I have to be able to meet goals, and I have to be able to be an example. And I don't want my children or my grandkids to grow up in the things that I did. So I try to exemplify anything that's positive for all of them, and most of all for myself. So in saying all that, it affected me in a way that it made me want to push harder and not to give up.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Deborah. Janelle?
Not to really change the self-perception, a lot of things that were said were very relatable, but what hit me was asking something that can be asked to our young women is, what would you tell your daughter? It's kind of like asking, what would you tell your teenage self? So something I think is a powerful question that you can ask teenagers. What would you tell your daughter? What would you want your daughter to know?
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Thank you, Janelle. Terica?
So the same is that, my self-perception now, just as an adult, and the last woman that spoke, I really resonated with that, but just validating yourself and your self-worth and self-love. I mean, I feel like kids are I think the new generation is doing that early on, but I think it's just something that we constantly need to, regardless of race, that you need to, as long as you value yourself and you understand your self-worth, you will go much further. And I just wanted to add, as they were speaking, and even Deborah said something before we went to the video, and it's still those things that we subconsciously, those messages that we have in our mind. And even when I'm at the store to this day, and I have to, now I just think about it, I automatically know not to go to the entrance. I'm always cautious of going to the entrance of any store, clothing store that I'm in, because I feel that people perceive me, regardless of where I stand in society, regardless of the fact that I'm an officer, and I still know that I'm first a woman that people perceive me as I might be trying to steal. I'm aware of that, and I also automatically I am trying to prevent you from thinking that. So what do? I get closer to the entrance. I'm like, okay, I don't want anything to go off, or let me go back over here. And I do that, and I'm almost 45 years old. So those are messages that are still there, even though I'm 45 years old, those messages are still embedded in our minds, and how we feel like other people perceive us. Even if we don't perceive ourselves that way, we're still very aware of how others perceive us. And that's really important.
That's good. Thank you, ladies, so much. I'm going to turn it over to Shug. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Janetta.
I was going to share, I'm involved with the African American Leaders for Tomorrow conference, and we take kids from around the state down to Cal State Dominguez for a week, and and it's like last time I think it was like 120 of them. So I've taken kids from Bakersfield and the Valley for the last several years. And many of them, specifically from Kern County, they were like a mixed race, Mexican and Black or whatever. And almost every single time on the way back, they would share with me that they didn't feel they were Black before they went. And the reason, I started asking why, and they go, well, the image, what they perceived, everything about being Black was not positive. And they would tell me things like, I was really the only Black woman they really knew or they really respected. I had teenage girls and boys say this to me every single year, and they didn't feel comfortable. They didn't want to be identified as being Black. And when they went down there and they saw all these, kids from all over the state, all different culturally, they're all really different, to tell you the truth, but they were all like-minded about success. And until they got in that environment, they didn't even feel comfortable acknowledging that they were Black. They honestly said this to me.
Wow, that's something. That's something. You know, Janelle.
Every year.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Okay. Janelle works with a group with the high school district. They have a conference, and one year I was invited to the conference, and one year they had the young ladies write on the wall the names they've heard themselves called. I think that's what it was, wasn't it, Janelle? And when they began to write across that wall about the names that they've heard about themselves, or somebody directly or indirectly talking to them, and they write it on the wall, and it becomes life when you see it, because these are the names that these young ladies have been called. When you see them at school every day, they're trying to make it. You don't really realize what they go through on a personal level until this conference that they had, and they were able to write the names that they've heard, and they're not all good names. You Black, you ugly, you bitch, you this, you that, you whore, you, all these words that they had on this big mural. They all had a pen that they had to go to that mural and write what they have heard themselves called. And I actually wept. There's quite a bit of other adults, I think, kind of cried, but to know that they're dealing with these kind of things, that they hear these kind of things that I'm not saying that they work on their self-perception. I'll say that. I won't say that they absorb it in, but I'll say that it works on their self-perception of themselves. So when you say that you have a program where you're taking these children and they see leaders that are Black, taking them to these places, I think that's absolutely excellent. You guys are to be commended that you have these programs for these Black students, and that they're able to come and just be themselves. I just had to throw that in there because it was good, because it's needed, especially for our young women today, when you look at all the different things that are around them that can shape who they are without them knowing who they are, because they're trying to be like somebody else. So I just think that those programs are great. So I just want to commend both of you on that. I just think they're awesome. And we thank you both for that. So I'm going to turn it over to Shug, and she's going to ask the rest of the questions. If you ladies in the chat line have any questions to ask, please put them in there, and we'll, as soon as we finish our questions, we'll get to you and let you ask your questions as well. Okay, Shug. Thank you, ladies.
Okay. Yes, thank you. And I'd like to piggyback off of something Ms. Woolfolk said a minute ago about going to a store and always being mindful of where that exit is, and that people are always looking at you. Now I can see 60 very, very well. And I still feel the same way. And maybe a few months back, I was in Walmart, and I was doing my thing and looking like I always look. I got my jeans on, my t-shirt on. And the ice machine, or where they keep the ice packages, they're located right in the front by the exit. And so I had my basket, and I went over to the ice machine, and the security guard stood in front of me. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I moved the other way, and he did it again, right? I'm like, oh, okay, now. So I maybe tried it 3 times, right? And I said, sir, I'm trying to get some ice. Is there a problem? And he goes, no. And so we had to have a little conversation. I can't really say what that conversation was, but I had to let him know, hey, I'm not here to steal anything. I've never stolen anything in my life. And if I were to steal something, believe me, it wouldn't be a bag of ice, so, but that's a shame that we still, in today, 2022, still have to be subject to things like that. So I just wanted to piggyback off that and let you know you're not the only one. So what we're going to talk about next is culture and how that affects us. And the question that I have is, what effect might TV, advertising, music, movies have on your self-perception? Terica?
Just the standard of beauty is one, and how we what we perceive as being beautiful. So what you see on media and in the news or magazines, it's all the same, standard of beauty. And so if you don't fit what society considers is a standard of beauty, you of course feel some kind of way. You don't feel that you are up to par with that standard of beauty. And, for some, it can make you want to change, but it will make you feel like you aren't enough being who you are, that you need to meet that same standard of beauty. So I believe that it greatly affects how you feel like you're perceived.
Yes, yes. Miss Bradford?
Well, I'm going to say something a little bit different. I'm thinking that it can make you, television programs can lead you to some people, not to me, to aggression, violence, behavior, because they want to imitate what they're seeing on TV. But the other thing I thought about also is that it can be positive. And then I thought about what Nikki just got through saying, Terica said, and that was a standard of beauty that can be possible as well. But I guess it depends on, it goes back to your self-perception about what you're looking at, and then how you receive it.
Yes. Miss Janita?
When we were in our growing years, I would say, there were few of them, but there were good ones. There were few images, but they were actually solid images of solid Black women. And now, the media is like inundated with so many different genres and different just dress, the style of dress, everything that, I just think that it is important that the young people have someone to help them decipher that, to help them look at that and understand it for what it is. Because if you're looking at it, if you got a young girl watching these videos, and if they don't understand that's all acting, that's not real life, then they can, want to emulate it. So, it's just important that with all of the access that they have someone that in their life that's helping them really navigate it,
Yes, I agree. I think my first person that I saw on television, a woman of color, was the series Julia. And that really made an impact on me. I was like, she was professional. She was beautiful. She was taking care of her child. She wasn't on welfare, and then I look at where we are now and what we see on television. And, it's always buffoonery, usually. And so it's really a shame. Miss Janelle.
Basically, same from what you two just said. It's scripted TV. It's scripted. It's for entertainment purposes, but everyone doesn't know that or doesn't take things from that. They think it's real. I will say one thing positive I do take, because I watch reality TV, is hair. Because hair looks good. I find my hairstyles of my hair from TV. That's one thing that I do take from them. But I'm just thinking, not just only on TV, but just thinking in music, just on the negative way, the recent songs, or a little bit recent, I guess, like WAP and all that stuff. Come on. And these teenagers are listening to it. What do you know about some WAP? But then on the positive side of it, just thinking about Mary J. Blige, the positive messages she has, Jill Scott, India.Arie. So it's what we allow to fill us and allow into our space, and as we're driving or whatever, what messages we allow to resonate with us and stay with us.
Right. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to say on that subject? Okay. What effect, if any, do these things have on you? And Janelle, I think you just spoke about that, the hair and whatnot. Is there, Miss Janita, what effect, if any, do these things have on you? And we're still talking about social media, TV, advertising, music, movies.
Well, since I deal so closely with young girls, I'm coaching young girls, that's something that's constantly on my mind. And, I have those, try to give them, I just try to counter those images and make them understand what's important. One of the main things, it's not just the beauty, but it's their body image. A lot of young girls, especially since I'm coaching, I'm dealing with girls that, they want to have that fake Kim Kardashian, whatever her name is, body. And they don't understand, so I try to make sure they understand that it's more important to be healthy, to eat right, and to, I talk to them about, how it affects their skin and things like that. But I feel like most of those images really impact the girls that way. So that's the thing I deal with most. And I have my oldest granddaughter is 16, so she'll be 16. So we're constantly talking about that stuff.
Yes, thank you. And Miss Deborah?
I think I'll talk about social media. Now, I didn't get on social media until I was almost 100. I just barely got on. But I think the perception for me, I'll tell you how it feels with me now that I'm older. I'm okay with it. I get on and do what I need to do and get off. And no one, I know who I am and what my character is, and I don't go beyond that. But social media can be a bully for some people, and for some of the girls that are trying, or some of the women that are trying to better their lives. If people are not nice to them, and their perception of themselves is low, then we don't know what they might do. I don't know how many times we've heard of suicides on there, and that's simply because maybe their perception of themselves was not the best. But as I said, as for myself, how I feel about it, I'm okay with it. And like I said, I waited till I was older because I was doing other things. But then I know who I am and I know what character I have. So I'm not trying to figure out who I am and what my self-esteem is. I'm solid with that. However, I want to see other people solid with theirs as well.
Yes. And Ms. Terica?
It's the same as what Deborah just stated, is that it doesn't affect me so much, but it is because I am older and I am comfortable with the skin that I'm in. However, I think it has a great impact on the younger generation coming up, because what they see on social media and what's acceptable as a good body and all that, that's affecting them right now in real time. And so for me, I see things and it's entertainment. I'm on and off of social media, but social media is life to some folks, some kids, our high schoolers, our young people. And so Janelle was talking about WAP earlier, and those are the things that's shaping our young people. Even, I don't feel like I'm that old, but we didn't have that. We didn't have social media. That's something that's still pretty new. And so it's absolutely shaping the kids and shaping our kids and their minds and how they feel about themselves. It's absolutely, it affects them a great deal.
Thank you. And Mr.
Along the same lines as everyone else, but just thinking about also the likes and the comments, that if I didn't get that many likes, I must not be that cute, or I didn't have on the right thing, or my hair, whatever. And then, but now there's which I'm so happy about now, that there's kind of been some things supposedly are changing in the media with the negative things, or the likes going away, or comments, or who can see what feeds, to have more, the algorithms have more positive things in people's feeds and things like that. And like TikTok, it was entertainment, in which a lot of it's fun, but now maybe because I'm old, I see more things like recipes or positive things, affirmations and things like that, which I'm really happy to see that. I think the algorithms, that they're looking to do more of that for the younger generation who are on social media, to have that go through their feeds more often.
That's good.
Okay, very good. And since we're talking about social media, that's our next topic. And the question is, do you see social media having a positive or negative effect on one's self-perception? If so, what? If not, why not? Miss Deborah?
I think it goes back to when we started about family, your environment, how you were raised. I think that has a lot to do with it because if you are a strong person, then it's not going to have a bad effect on you. If you're not and you're weak and you're seeking somebody to tell you you look good or are you doing the right thing or those kind of things, then it could be negative for you because you might not get that feedback.
All right. Miss Janelle.
I'm going to go ahead and skip this one. I feel like I already kind of answered it.
Okay, no worries. Miss Terica?
Yeah, it's the same. It can be positive. It can be positive or negative. If you have young people, like I said before, if you have young people that don't have that validation, social media just adds. I didn't have social media when I was younger, but it just adds to how you perceive yourself. It's just, and it can be good or bad. It can be used to bully. It can be used to shape youth's minds in their formative years, and so it can be positive and negative.
Yes, thank you. And Miss Janita?
Social media is here to stay. Is what it is. So, the best thing for us to do is to make it positive, to use it in a positive way and teach them, maybe limit them. My grandkids, I can see everything they do on their phone. They still manage to slip stuff in, catch me slipping, but it's here. For a long time I fought it. I used to say MySpace and Facebook was the devil, but it's what it is. It's their life. They were born in their entire life. There's been this type of social media, so the best thing for us to do is to be savvy and know how to use it and teach the young people how to use it as well.
Right. Well, I believe that it does shape the image that we have of ourselves, and shapes the image that others have of us. Not only social media, also TV, advertising, all of that. And so we really have to, teach our children who they really are, so that they can weed out that negativity. And I remember I think I was in elementary school, and the teacher at the end of the course or end of the semester would take the kids who achieved whatever to their home. I probably don't do that anymore, but to their home or take them on a trip that was, in their car or what have you. And I remember this one teacher, she was Caucasian, and we went to her home and she had beans for us. And we're like, beans? And she goes, well, I saw on TV, I thought you guys like beans. So, we have to know who we are, and we also have to teach that to our young people. And a lot of us, we just don't know who we are. We're definitely lost.
You know what, Shug, can I say something, interject right here? When we look at the children, one thing I have learned in life is that not everybody grew up like me. Not everybody had a mother that really cared about us growing and our positive self-perception. So I just wanted to interject right here with the programs that are at the schools that I talked earlier about Janetta and Janelle being a part of. Those are so vital in our community.
Yes.
That because we don't know what homes they're coming from. And it doesn't bother you what homes they're coming from, as long as you're imparting in them a positive image of themselves. And I think that those programs, are to be bravoed, because we know personally, even working in law enforcement, all of us know that we've read cases where, you read and you say, this kid didn't have a chance.
Right.
Straight road was right to prison.
Right.
So when you look at those that work in the community with the young people, and you feel a compassion for that. not just that they paying me and I'm doing this. When you feel a compassion for that,
Right.
I think that makes the whole difference in their life. And, and it may be for just that hour a month that you're with them. I don't know how often you guys come together, but it may be just for that they look forward to some positive interaction.
Yes.
We don't know if they're going home and getting cussed out. We don't know if they're going home and eating. We don't know. We just don't know. So I think that when we look on it on a side that, you know, that maybe everybody didn't get what I received. You know, I never, not one time, thought I was ugly. Not that I think I'm highly pretty, but I never thought that. It's just that I never thought that. I just never thought
Cute though.
Yeah, pretty.
I mean, we all are, but I'm just saying I didn't feel that. But I know some girls that did feel that. I have friends even now at 65 years old that I'm having to constantly reinforce. Girl, you will be all right. You're going to make it. You know, you always have that friend that looks for that encouragement from you. We're talking 65. We didn't have all of what they have available to them right now, what they see, the pulling in the tight waist and the big butt now. Everybody wants to get that. And the most of them was born with it, but they still want that. They still want that look that's being perceived because everybody else is doing it. But when they have an outlet from home that they can come and be a part of an organization or a youth group that people have taken their time to say, I care about you and I want to see you succeed. Even if it's that hour after school with Janetta on the volleyball team or with Janelle at the school, you have to bravo those people because society has, you know, different steps, especially in the Black community, has changed. When crack cocaine came in, a lot of families fell apart at that time. All those things that turned over the Black community, gang banging, all those things, that turned over the community kind of. We went through a period of time there that things kind of changed. And when more of us were having babies at a younger age and not really knowing how to take care of babies. So all those things kind of evolved during our time of growing up. So when you look at those things and you just have to bravo those that can say that, you know what, I didn't deal with that, but that don't mean that they ain't dealing with it.
Right.
Society like that. And we know that we've all had somebody that when we seen them, we started smiling. We all had somebody like that in our lives. Not
I too am glad that they are there. Because so many people have teachers like I had, didn't know anything about Black culture, but had it been a little white girl, a little white boy, I'm sure they would have had hamburgers, hot dogs, things like that, you know. And so it's just a perception. And I think social media just plays such a large role in that.
It does.
If we even start thinking of ourselves the same as what we see. And so we do need people in the children's lives, and even as adults. I see you, Janita. You know, to reinforce the good that, hey, no, that's not you. You don't have to be that way. Miss Janita?
Yeah, I read like maybe 20, 30 years ago, I read a study and it was about resilient children. It was a study on how children who have been through the most adversity in their lives, like just had tremendous childhoods, but they grew up to be extremely successful. And the one correlating factor that and it was a lot of famous people that, you know, I can't think of them now that we would all know. And the one correlating factor that every single one of those individuals said is that they could pinpoint and tell you about an interaction they had with a person that may have been like a family member over a period of time or someone they met just one time for a few minutes that made them feel valuable.
Yeah.
That was the one correlating factor. So, you know, I always, no matter what, every encounter, I try to make the kid or person feel valued. And when I was listening to what Glenda was saying and what you're saying, Sugar, reminded me of that.
Yes. I think we all had that one person.
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't necessarily mom or dad, or it was one person. Sometimes it was mom, but one person in our lives. I know I did. And I'm very appreciative of that. And I try to do the same in return. I can act up, but I still try to show a positiveness, you know, and speak light into someone else, especially young people. Okay, so our last question, our last topic is going to be internal race issues. And that's a big one. Internal race issues. Bias, skin color, hair texture, social status, educational achievements. Please share your thoughts about how we as women can achieve a positive perception of ourselves.
Shug, can I play the second video?
Sure.
Okay, so we're gonna take a break and we're gonna play this second video. Thanks so much. Please share it.
When you think about studies that show that women of lighter skin tones get complimented more in general in a range of things than women of or young girls of darker skin tones. So if you're talking about even just in the school setting, you have two young girls who both do a great job. They both get A's on something, let's say, and the young woman who is of a lighter skin tone gets complimented and commended more. That's where your self-esteem comes from. That's what you start to believe. And how often are you reinforcing things and that you may not even realize you're reinforcing?
I remember I would say ninth grade, I thought, like, what if it just wasn't here? It'd just be easier. But like, the only thing that got me through that was like my mom telling me and my friends, especially Kamaya, just like being there and having someone to talk to. It just made me think like I can't leave them, because it keeps me like coming to school every day and like just like the smile on my face sometimes.
It's grateful.
It is. Because it shouldn't happen to anyone. We shouldn't have to hate ourselves because of the color of our skin. And the fact that I had to talk one of my best friends out of not wanting to be like that because the color of our skin, about the fact that we're just so bad. It's not right. You have to love yourself and love the others around you. And know that you're gonna be okay. So you have to stay strong.
I'm excited to give you an update about our own YouTube channel. Now you can find new videos every day. They're the kind of videos.
That was a very powerful video. You know, I'm really holding back tears because it's real. So again, we're talking about internal race issues, bias, skin color, hair texture, social status, educational achievements. Please share your thoughts about how we as women can achieve a positive perception of ourselves. Let's start with Miss Deborah.
Okay. I think you can find, you can have a positive perception of yourself if you keep it real. Don't be what you're not. Don't try to be what you're not. Don't try to have what you, don't try to keep up with someone that you don't have to keep up with. Just be yourself. Be real. I would like to say, don't dwell on negative things for yourself. Don't dwell on the negative things. Stay in control of your own emotions and be kind. Wear a smile. Say something nice to someone else. That helps yourself out. That helps you with your own self-esteem, helping others. Know who you are. Know your brand. Be the same all the time if you can. I'm trying to think. You might have to come back to me. I'm still thinking about the girls. But yes. I think for the main thing, just don't dwell on negative things. You know, you have to be strong enough to get past what you need to get past. I'll leave it at that, and I might want to say something a little later.
Yes. How can we help, let's say a child, but you know, we as adults suffer from the same thing, but someone who has a problem or not understanding or feels bad because they are darker skin or their hair is natural, you know, and maybe they're getting teased. What can we say to that child that might bring some life into them, that might change the course of their life, hopefully, because of the negativity about having natural hair or being darker skinned? Miss Janelle?
We all are different. We're all created differently. We all have different skin textures, skin tones, different shaped teeth, different shaped eyes, noses, everything. We're all different. We all add different values to our groups, our friendships, to this world, to our classrooms. We add different values. So comparison is killer.
Yeah.
I compare ourselves to others, even though we as women, we do. I still do sometimes. I'm sure you all do sometimes. But comparison is killer. But we all add different values. What I may be strong in, somebody else may not be. And what they may be strong in, I'm weak in. But we all add different values to this world. We all have different gifts. We have different talents. I would say to young ladies, find your tribe, find your people who uplift you, and not are always talking bad about somebody, or, you know.
Yes.
There's one saying out there, if you're jealous, follow your jealousy, because you'll find out what you're jealous of. You may be envious of. Either that's something that you really want to be, or maybe that's something you're trying hard not to be. So follow your jealousy.
Yeah.
Also, what else did I say? Also, like you said, Deborah, give. When you give, there's so much that comes back to you. I try to share so much positivity because that's what I want. I want that to come back to me in triple fold. And the last thing is, it may be hard for some people to even find value or good in themselves. And for that, I would say, in the Black community, it may be hard. And I think we're breaking the stigma. Find a therapist or a counselor or a coach, someone who can help you get through that. It's not, you're not crazy. We all have different things and different issues that we deal with. Right. You may see that someone may be smiling, but behind that smile, there may be something that they're dealing with, because we all have our stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, that was beautiful. Thank you. And I don't want to say just dark-skinned, light-skinned, whatever skin, you know, there are issues either way. Basically, how can we help to change that perception of negativity behind the skin color, the hair, the educational achievement, and the social status? Ms. Terica?
Just to piggyback on, you know, everything that Janelle said and everything that Deborah said, but, you know, we all have, you know, teaching kids and teaching just each other, we all have insecurities. Light skin, dark skin, I've seen everyone has an insecurity about themselves, whether it's a body part, whether it's their hair, but teaching folks how to embrace it by modeling that. You know, our younger people are watching us. You know, I've had compliments on things that kids have said from years ago that I didn't even know they saw in me. You know, I have this one, you know, they say, you know, oh, you're a good this or you're a good that, or I get compliments, but there was something that one particular youth stated to me about just my clothing and how I carried myself. And no one had ever told me that before, but people are watching us. But also just watching that video kind of has me shook. So I'm kind of like all over the place, but those type of spaces are so important. And, you know, what we do at the high school level, I've always told people, even in prevention work that I do, the educational system is vital in helping youth get through hard times and how they feel about themselves and how they're shaped, regardless of what's going on at home. But having spaces like that where girls can talk about it. And I always say that in order for us to move past it, and that's adults too, we all have insecurities, is to acknowledge it. It first starts with acknowledging those thoughts that you have then we can deal with it. Then we can talk about, okay, I'm not self-confident in this area. How do I build my self-esteem? But it first starts with acknowledging what those thoughts are. And that comes in therapy. It comes in spaces like those high school events and girls talk and all these different things. But that's where you'll get when you find your tribe or when you find these conferences. Those things are so vital in shaping and addressing how we feel first. Then being able to change those thoughts. And now I can love on myself. But saying self-love out loud and self-worth and self-esteem means nothing. It's easier said than done. We have to address those thoughts, acknowledge it so that we can work on it.
Absolutely. And for the viewers, we will be opening up the lines for questions. So please get your questions ready. That will be coming up shortly. Ms. Janita, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, with the younger ones, just kind of like when you speak to them, try not to make such a big deal of the superficial things. I mean, I try to make sure I really focus on effort. I really focus on what they're doing with their gifts, and I remind them all the time that the way they look, how athletic they are, how tall they are, how smart they are, they really have nothing to do with that. That's all a gift. But what they do with it, their effort, how they treat people, that's what matters. So, I just try to constantly, confirm that with young people. Now, with the women, now I don't have that issue now because all of my friends are all remarkable. But when I was younger and in the workforce, I felt like a lot of times other Black women would immediately become in competition with me. Like, if there was 2 women, if there was 15 women in a room and 2 happen to be Black, then those 2 would somehow end up in that false perception that they're in competition.
Absolutely.
And so don't compete with other Black women. Just stop it. It's nonsense. Stop it. If there's 15 women, if you're in competition with 1 woman, you're in competition with all of them. Right. So stop it.
Right. Stop it. And, just you saying that, it reminds me of years ago when we were both working in the same system. And, hey, you reached out to me. You helped me, and I still remember, and I'm still very appreciative. It wasn't like, oh, she's going to get my job if I help her. You were very instrumental. And I appreciate that. And I thank you for that, sis. Okay, Miss Glenda, chat room.
Okay, let's see. We have a lot of comments. I don't really see any questions, but we do have comments. I'll start with Jessica. Jessica has here. She's our chairperson of our board, and she says such a powerful, impactful topic with empowered women empowering their communities. Thank you for the authenticity. Thank you, Jessica. And we also have from Moshe. My experience with racism was within our own race. Being a very light complexion, darker skinned girls were very mean to me in school. Wow. Okay, there's another one from Jessica. So true, colorism and racism are both nuanced and very traumatizing. Thank you for calling it out and giving voice to these hurtful experiences. Yes. I think for me in the Black community, among Black women, since Janita started talking about it, is it's kind of like the crabs in the bucket, that we experience. And I think that is one big block for us as a community of Black people, is that we have to get over the jealousy of one another, the clicking up, and all those things that kind of keep us down and keep us thinking that certain ones are a certain level and certain ones are a certain different level. And I think that when you spend your time just affirming people, you spend your time trying to encourage people, that's all you need. That's all you need. And I think that that once, I believe, to me, I think I shared this with Shiv yesterday. I think It's racism. It's there and it's prevalent. It's there. But I think the worst hurt I get is within my own race. It is one of the worst hurts that I get is in my own race. Not so much racism, you know, like we said earlier, you kind of grow up, you do what you have to do. Now, some things we have to call out and make law. But as far as, because no matter what happens in this world, somebody's going to always think they're better than somebody else. It's not ever going to go away. We can make it better by putting in laws and putting in statutes and things like that, but it's never going to go away. But I think my greatest concern is within the Black community, is the internal racial struggles that we have. Me and Shig, I think I talked to her yesterday about, you know, Black Lives Matter. Well, it's hard for somebody to believe that Black Lives matter if Black lives don't matter to us. It has to matter to us as well as it matters to when a white cop kills a Black person. But we're killing each other every day. And there's no marches where Black Lives Matter for that. This is just my own perception. This is my own perception. So I think sometimes we can be our own worst enemies. And until we sit down and take a good look at it and try to put those things together, come together as a community to build a stronger community, we'll never get there. We'll never get there. And I'm going to drop this note in. We passed by the corner down here on Gosford and there's 4 corners, 4 Hispanic eating trucks on each corner. One doesn't go over to the other one and say, don't buy theirs. Mm-hmm. Don't do it. Mm-hmm. No, don't go over there. They're not in competition with one another. We have a tendency to be in competition with one another. And those things is what we have to kind of look at and deal with and talk about it if we're going to rise as a Black community. This is just my own feelings, my own thoughts, my own perspectives. We have to do better in how we treat one another. Like I said, to me, racism is there, but the internal issues that we have as a Black race are the ones that I'm concerned about. Because that's what I deal with all the time. So those are just my thoughts.
That's good. Can I just say something about that? That just reminded me how you're saying with the food trucks. Yeah. Everybody has something to offer. We'll just say like you said, restaurants.
Right.
Over here, they may sell the best yams in town. They may not have the best whatever, but I'm gonna go here buy the yams. But I'm gonna go support this other business because they have the best greens in town.
Right.
Everybody adds something. Everybody's value. You ain't gotta hate on the other person. Right. Just support. And if you don't like that, don't get that over there. Go get it from over there. But buy what you like over here without hating on them.
That's right.
Same thing with businesses. They may be the best braider, but somebody else may do weaves better. I mean, you don't gotta hate on them because they're gonna do that. Just go to somebody else without saying anything about it.
That's right.
Putting it out there.
That's right. That's good. That's good.
That's true.
Yeah. We just have to really be conscious of how if we're going to build our community economically, we're going to have to stop thinking about, we have to come together better. We have to pump each other's business and we have to move forward and, you know, don't do no yapping back here. Let's pull together. And that's just my little standing on the box talking about it, because I think those are some of the things that we don't address is within our own community. And we can talk all around it. We don't want to talk about it. We can talk all around it, but some of those things they're internal. They're internal. When somebody feels threatened about somebody coming in doing the same thing that they're doing or doing something like that, then you can feel it. I'm a witness to that. You can feel it, and it's sad, and I think that we as a Black community, if we're going to move forward, everybody talking about sitting at the table. I see on a TikTok that it says, let's build our own table. Let's build our own table. We're never going to get there unless we come together to do just that. And it takes time, and it takes changing the attitude, the outlook of what we see, and trying to change it into building the community instead of working separately and tearing it apart. Okay, I'm really done. I'm gonna turn off my mic.
Nope, don't do that. Okay, are we ready for announcements? Okay, turn your mic back on. Okay, so announcements that we have. Next week, broadcast faith-based leaders, the trusted messengers of the Black community. Now, I know you want to say something about that, Miss Glenda. You're
Yes,
muted.
I do. You know, with our community immunity, what we did, our strategic team did was come together and find out who are trusted trusted messengers in our community, and we all agreed that it would be the Black ministers, the Black churches, because they hold the biggest gathering of Black people once a week. Go figure. They hold the biggest gathering of Black people. So where to spread the news about community immunity other than with the Black trusted leaders? So we did the video, and most of you probably have seen it, and it's an excellent video.
Yes.
We have Kern Medical Center contacted me yesterday to see if they could share the video on social media. I told them, well, you have to still keep Kern Health Systems on it, but you can share it. So we're just excited, and literally, a lot of us, talking to Linda, a lot of white leaders in our community, because they haven't seen such a force of Black men, they have called me to talk about the video, and they've just been excited. I've told Linda we've got emails from people that have just been their words are always impactful and powerful.
Yes. And who are some of those leaders?
Who are some of those leaders? Are you trying to get push on Suge? I see you.
Bishop Bernard Wallace.
And we're excited. And we, you know what? This is nothing on anybody else's church. We got 7 men, and we had a criteria we went by, so it wasn't like we didn't pick yours. And you know, we could only get so many, and we were grateful that they came on board. But as Pastor Oscar Anthony of St. Peter's, it's Donald Allen of Union Baptist. We Bishop Kemp from Greater Harvest Christian. We also have Bishop Wallace from Church of Christ Ministries, and we also have Reverend Tim Costin, Pastor Tim Costin from the Cain AME Church. So we have those, and I'm sorry, Calhoun from Mount Zion. So we had those men come together. And to tell you the truth, the video that you see is an awesome video. But what I loved about it, and Linda can share this as well, is what I loved about it is to watch those 7 men come together and clown the whole time.
Exactly.
And they had not been together before. And so to see them come together on one mission to spread this, because if you look at the Black church, the Black leaders, they are called first when something happens in the family. If somebody dies of COVID, they carry that weight with them. They carry it, their wives carry it, their families carry it. So no greater people I thought to have was them, because they want their churches to thrive and live. They pray over those people's souls. So when somebody is hurting or something happens in their families, these are the men that they call. And I was just so grateful to have them. So they're going to be on next Saturday, and a few of them, not all of them, but a few of them are going to be on next Saturday. And they're just going to talk a little bit about them coming together and them pushing forward this trying to lessen vaccine hesitancy. So we're excited about that.
Yes.
And I was glad they agreed. They are so excited. So, and watch us on KBAK. We're on different shows. The other day I watched it on a commercial on Family Feud with Steve Harvey. So we have all these shows, the Tamaron Hall show, it comes on during the day. So, and they watch it. And so, and it comes on for the whole 90 seconds. So please try to watch it. And, you know, when you see them, give them a bravo, because they did a great job. So
yes, they did. So our second community immunity health fair will be held Saturday, March 19th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Dr. Martin Luther King Park, which is located at 1000 South Owen Street. The first one was a blast. We had a great time. Yes, we did. And so we're still going to have Grandma Whoopo out. We're going to have Kern Health. I don't know. We're going to have Isabella.
Book signing.
Oh, yes.
We're
Okay. Yeah.
So yes, and we had snacks. My best part, we had snacks, but we had a good time. We had a good time learning about our health. There were also blood pressure checks, BMI. We had health professionals out there to talk to. Any question you had, to talk to you and answer those questions that you might have. So don't forget, March 19th at 11 a.m. Mark your calendars. Come on out to Martin Luther King Park and join us, okay? Phenomenal Women's Event. It's going to be held in March. So don't have a date for you just yet, but we will, and it's going to be a great event. So, and you know, No Sister Left Behind. We're going to give 100%. So come on out. Mark your calendar. Just know that it's going to happen sometime in March, the Phenomenal Women's Event.
It's either March 5th or 6th.
Yeah, I want Janelle to talk about it, and she can, because that's her event. So Janelle, I'm sorry. Can you go ahead and talk about it to let's go know what's going on?
It's on Sunday, March 6th from 2 to 6 p.m. And we're just going to celebrate all women from all different backgrounds. This is the 4th year, and it's going to be a little bit different. We're celebrating a few Black women-ran organizations, and one is No Sister Left Behind. So I want you all to come out and watch Sister Glenda walk the runway while we tell everybody about No Sister Left Behind. We're going to have a good time, so you don't want to miss it. And I can put the event link in the chat on the Facebook later on.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Yes, thank you. So March 6th, Phenomenal Women's Event. Thank you, Ms. Janelle. No Sister Left Behind logo sweatshirts are back in stock. You know, it's still chilly out there. So they are available on our online store. There are also other branded items, cups and T-shirts and whatnot. So please visit our website, No Sister Left Behind, 2.org. And membership, woohoo! Renewal time. Renewal notifications have been sent to members via email. So please take a moment and renew your membership. Membership is very important, and it helps us to achieve the goals that we have for No Sister Left Behind. If you have changed your email address, please go to the website and update your email address so that we can send you the information that is needed. But please check your emails for renewal notifications. But all you have to do is basically go to the website again at No Sister Left Behind, 2.org, and renew. And they are on a yearly basis. They're on an annual basis. And guess what? It hasn't changed. The price hasn't changed. There's still $50 per year. And that's all that I have to say.
Thank you, Shug. We're gonna move right along because it's what, 7:31. I said till 7:30. We had a great time tonight. It's been just a phenomenal time. We had a great time, and I want to thank you, Janetta, because I know you've been working with these young ladies a long time. You've been working at the schools a long time, and that's a blessing. And thank you for coming on to our program. We'll see you in the future. Thank you so much, Terica, my daughter. Proud of you. Thank you so much for being on and answering those questions. We thank you so much. Thank you, Janelle. It's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you so much, dear, for all you do, for all what you ladies do in the community with our young women and the youth. Thank you so much. And to Miss Deborah, thank you so much. I'm so glad you were able to get on. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And Deborah does a great work too. Deborah's responsible for 10 prisons up north, and that's her job. And so she's very, very busy, and we thank you for taking the time to always come on to our program when we ask you to come on. Thank you so much. To my executive team, Pam and Linda, thank you so much always for having my back. I love you guys. And to our chat line, thank you so much for being on and coming on with us. And we appreciate you and thank you. We see you next week. You come back on and support the trusted messengers of the ministers of our community. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.